We'll get started in just a couple minutes. I see Kenny's getting in here and getting everything set up to be live on Workplace for everybody. So hang tight.
But y'all thought we wasn't gonna show up. Look at y'all. Look at that.
Good morning.
Right on time, Libby. Right on time. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we are remote. That's right. We are coming live from the studios in where we at? Grand Prairie.
Yeah, Grand Prairie.
Live from the studios in Grand Prairie, Texas. How y'all doing?
Rockefeller Plaza.
That's what we know it as. Yes.
Yeah, exactly right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Oh, and happy Monday morning. It is.
It is pretty happy.
Woo, it is going to be 100-something degrees today. It's just wonderful. You know, I think if I just reverse psychology.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
You think that's going to work?
It's going to be wonderful. 100 degrees today in Texas. We love it. Absolutely. The breeze is going to be blowing, right? The birds are going to be finding shade under your cars and trees. This is going to be a great day.
I think that's the way to do it.
In Texas. Yeah. I mean, we could be less fortunate. We could be in the midst of a tornado.
I know, like California's having all the flooding and things like that. Lift them up in prayer. My goodness.
For sure. So we'll deal with some heat. We'll deal with some heat.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll work through that piece. But yes, it is Monday morning. You guys are hopping on. Thank you for being on time. Thank you for joining in. And we're going to get started. As is our custom, we open every Monday morning in prayer. And we like to say, you don't have to be a Christian to be connected with us, but please do not be offended if we don't hide our faith. We like to recognize where our blessings come from, and we do that in prayer each Monday morning. Heavenly Father, thank you for your grace and your goodness. Thank you for watching over us today. Give us insight, enlighten us in the things that we need to know. Share and show us the ways that we should go, and lead us into the paths that will benefit you, that will help us get to the mark that you have set for us. And we only desire, Heavenly Father, to be aligned with, in relationship with, and connected to those that you have called to be in our lives. So continue to watch over us and guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Mindset matters. That's right,
facts.
Mike. That's right. All right. We're going to get started with Cassie with some training, and then we're going to get right into some fun today.
Oh, really?
Nah, it ain't going to be fun.
Okay.
But we're going to get into it. Cassie, what's going on with our training this week?
Good morning. Yes, we got some good stuff, some fun stuff too this week. So like always, today at 11 o'clock after Monday Morning Mindset, we got a virtual script practice. The link is in the calendar, the training calendar. This afternoon, we do have Chime landing pages training. So if you're wanting to up your game and learn how to use landing pages in Chime, we do have that coming to us today at 1 o'clock. A Chime instructor is going to be logging in and teaching us about that. Wednesday, we have death and divorce. Unfortunately, we know this comes up all the time, and we need to know how to deal with it in our real estate, on the real estate front. So Mark Charles is going to be coming and talking to us about how to deal with those situations. He's with Supreme Lending. Thursday at noon, this one's a lunch and learn, a VA assumptions. So we're going to be learning about how the process works, how to maximize the benefit of that, and opportunities of how to use it in the marketplace. That one's going to be at Allegiance Title, right here in Mansfield, down the road on Matlock. That's going to be from 12 to 1. Do need to RSVP for that one so we can make sure we have enough lunch for everybody. And then a special edition on Friday. Highland Homes in Midlothian, they have a new premier community that they're opening up over there, and they reached out to us, asked if we could bring a group out. So they're also going to be doing a new construction boot camp. So if you need to learn some more about new builds in general, but also want to go out there and see these Highland homes out there in Bridgewater, it's called Bridgewater Community in Midlothian, they're going to also provide us lunch. That's at 12 o'clock on Friday. All of this information is in the training calendar, and that one we would like for you to RSVP too, please. So lots of fun stuff.
That is some fun stuff happening.
Good. Libby, is the one that you're doing about listings this week or next week?
So that one is actually on the 31st.
Okay.
Yep.
That's some good
That's
stuff.
some good stuff. We always have some great content. Whether you are a newbie, a seasoned, or wherever you are in your career, it's always some really good touch points. So thank you, Cassie and team and everybody that chips in to create that calendar. We have some really good vendors and partners to work with. So thank you.
Yeah, we had a lot of agents will come to us and they'll say, well,
Yeah.
what kind of training you have? And that's always an easy answer.
It's real
That
easy.
is always a very easy answer. I should just say we have Cassie. And then
put it
just
like
leave
that.
it, just let it sit there. Just leave it sitting there, just like that. Good stuff. Thank you so much, Cassie. That is wonderful. Thank you for those of you that participate in going to these events where they happen in person. It is appreciated by those that put it on for sure.
Absolutely.
Right. People are taking their time to do it. And especially when you're RSVPing, please absolutely show up because they're spending money to make sure that you are taken care of.
Yeah.
And you know, as much as they will never complain,
Yeah.
nobody wants to spend money and
Right.
someone who says they're going to show up and then they don't show up.
I mean, we've had people come in cooking breakfast and everything for you guys based upon some RSVPs, and then we have to eat all the food. So, I mean, come on, guys. It's really there for you.
We're not bad at that point.
Well,
We ain't
no,
bad at
no,
that
but
point.
we'd love to see you. The other one that I mentioned was, I think we must have been talking about listings, and then Libby's putting on, was it List Like a Boss kind of thing. I will come in and talk a little bit after she's gone through everything. So I really would love to see you guys if you have any questions about listings or how I do it, and things that I think are little nuggets to help you be a better listing agent. We would love to see you. Libby, what'd she say, on the 31st in the office?
List like a boss.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. List like a boss. That'll be.
And that'll be virtual too. So those that can't come in person who are out of town, we'll be streaming it for you as well.
Excellent.
Good stuff. Okay. So today we're going to get into 5 ways to encourage buyers in this current market. Before we get into that, we're going to give you a little encouragement, hopefully yourselves, but that is going to be a good topic.
It's going to be fantastic.
5 ways to encourage buyers. I was reading an article and they were talking about the market, talking about rolling recessions, pullbacks, all these different things. And while you definitely want to stay educated on what's going on in the market, you can't control the market.
Never. No, you cannot.
You have no control over the market. So if you plan on still being in business, you have to learn how to navigate this current market.
I think it's kind of like a surfer.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Different waves come. You got to figure out how to jump on your board and ride the wave out and maximize it for what it is.
Okay.
And then get back up again and ride the next one. That's how I kind of feel after these 9 years of being in real estate. You know, it ebbs and flows, but the whole thing is you got to get on your surfboard and still ride.
Yeah. Okay. So you pulling the surf analogy. All right. I see you. Yeah, we're gonna get you on the board and see what you're doing out there in these waves. But you're absolutely right, because again, you can complain about it, right? You can be unhappy about it. You can say that nothing is out here being done. You'd be wrong about that part.
You'd be absolutely, you would be in the wrong.
Yeah.
For sure.
So business is still continuing to be done. You just have to learn how to navigate this particular market, because this is real estate. This market is real estate. The last market was real estate. It is buyer, seller, up and down, back and forth, ebb and flow, interest rate low, historically low, had never been that way before.
And I would say even when the rates weren't this high, we had obstacles then with the multiple offer situations and how to navigate that. So you're always going to have something to deal with, and you've got to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah, because when interest rates were low, let us not forget, you getting 20, 30 offers, your people was getting outbid. FHA didn't have a winning opportunity.
Did not either.
VA was pretty much out of the game. And then you were having to put in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 offers to try to get one.
Correct.
Right. So there's always something you have to work through. So don't think that just because the interest rates are where they are, you got to throw in the towel.
You cannot throw in the towel. You've got to do the exact opposite. You got to double down.
you got to double down. And you got to get back to some basic, what I like to say, blocking and tackling, right? We're going to get back to
Are you saying that because it's football time?
It is football time. That's right. And I know you Cowboys haters. Yeah, y'all all excited that the Cowboys did not win a preseason. Don't nobody care about preseason. That's okay. Nobody care about preseason. All right.
Those all the rookies and stuff.
Yeah, people we don't even know. Yeah, whoever they was. Right. The point is basic blocking and tackling. And then we're gonna see where we end up at the end of the season. But anyway, Jerry's not paying me, so if he was, it'd be a different conversation. But the I'm sorry. Wow.
I'm not sure what Kevin Lewis means.
Kevin trying to say he already apologizing for the doggone season. He trying to be funny. Anyway, stay focused. So it's gonna be crazy. I already see y'all gonna be acting fool this season. Mm-hmm. We don't do fancy things. Yeah. I'm just gonna try to tell you now. Stop trying to find fancy things. The way to navigate this market is gonna be old school blocking and tackling. Yeah, you might throw a Hail Mary now and again. You might turn a quick reverse play now and again. That is not going to win in this season. And it doesn't win long-term in any season. Mm-hmm. You're going to get down to your fundamentals, and you're going to have to be better at your fundamentals. And one quick example of being able to do that is if you are relying on your CRM or Netra systems to mail out properties, and if you still telling people, call me when you see something, you forget it. Just forget it. Just go on and lay down now. Because this is not that season. This is the season where you have to get back to being proactive. This is the season I remember when you started and you would get CC'd on the same emails that went out to the clients, and you was researching and looking and bringing them properties. Mm-hmm. This is that season. This is where you have to do some digging. This is where you have to do some looking. This is where you have to stay in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Did anything hit the market? This is where you go back and look what's been on the market for 35 days, 45 days, 60 days. This is where you start doing the work.
And as it relates to being a listing agent, this is why I think the training that's coming up on the 31st is going to be very beneficial, because we weekly send out recaps. I'm having like maybe Friday conversations with each of my sellers, because they're trying, did you call such and such? That I had a showing, and I'm like, oh, it just burns me up. So if y'all are not leaving feedback, please do, because we really are having to navigate this muddy water with the sellers who, think their house is priced right. We've already told them it's not. Right. But if you give the feedback that confirms, hey, this is not your price too high, or your house is in this condition, or anything that you can share. My guys liked your house but decided on a new build. Anything like that is so critical right now. Mm-hmm. And because we're having, as listing agents, having to lower prices or convince them to, price things or have an incentive, and we need some help. So if you're a listing agent and you're not in weekly contact somehow, some form of communication, if you're not reverse prospecting, I haven't had to reverse prospect in golly, now 3 years. Now I live it. We got reverse prospect, because it is that kind of challenge we're up against when you start hitting 50, 60, 90 days on the market. Right. This is unheard of right now. So it's not unheard of. Well, what I'm saying for the bubble that we have been in Texas per se, if you've been in real estate maybe 2-3 years, you're not. It's new to you. It's new. It's not new, but it's new to you. Right. But these are the ways that you need to be proactive and be that agent that is in front of things versus trying to catch up.
Yeah. And so, before we shift to the buyer's conversation, a few words of encouragement, hopefully, as I was thinking about, what are we talking about today? Like, what is going on? What's in people's mind? What is happening in the industry? What's happening with other real estate agents? And I just want to say this to you. The only risk is not taking one. The only risk is not taking one. A lot of times we get comfortable in our situations. A
little complacent.
We get very complacent oftentimes, whether it's complacent with a job you don't want, or somewhere you're unhappy at,
Mhm.
or whatever the scenario is, and we'll ride that complacency out.
Mhm.
And we think we're doing it because it's comfortable.
Mhm.
All the while, we're completely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We're not happy. We're miserable. I can remember not several. I can remember one specific job for sure that I had in corporate America. I was miserable
Mhm.
in this job. I
Yeah.
was absolutely miserable.
Mhm.
And I'm only not that type of person
Yeah.
where if I'm miserable in something, but I was miserable.
Mhm.
And for a hot second, I didn't leave because the money was good.
Mm.
I didn't leave because the
Mhm.
money was good.
Mhm.
But I realized that I could make money.
Mhm.
I never had a problem making money, but I didn't like being miserable.
Yeah. That feeling.
And I had to make a decision because I'm choosing misery at that point.
Because you could have made other choices.
I can make other choices.
Mhm.
I'm choosing misery.
Mhm.
And I had to make other choices that didn't feel comfortable in the moment.
Mhm.
And I was convincing myself that I was comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And you say, well, wait a minute, hold on. Don't y'all tell us as coaches you're supposed to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable? I'm like, ain't what you say? But what I'm talking about is being uncomfortable, being miserable, being unhappy in a scenario and not choosing to make a change because you felt like the change was going to be more difficult
Mhm.
than the current place you were in.
Yeah.
But you're miserable,
Mhm.
you're unhappy, you're uncomfortable. You're not where you're supposed to be,
Right.
right? And you have to not be afraid to take the risk to make the change. And as you're looking at it from a business perspective, if what you've been doing is comfortable, is what you've been doing no longer working,
Mhm.
if you're feeling like, I need to make some adjustments, I need to cut this marketing out, or I need to add this marketing, I need to take the next step to grow my business, to bring in a resource, to bring in some help, to bring in whatever. I just want to encourage you, the only risk is not taking one. That is the only risk, because once you get to that level of, something in you is talking to you to make a shift, to move, to adjust, to get to that next level.
Mhm.
You can't let fear
Mm-mm.
stop you. And you're never, can I tell you something? We never had all the answers before we made a
still
decision.
don't. Yeah.
You're not going to have all the answers before you got to make a decision.
But that's why it's called a faith walk.
It is a faith walk. And let's say if you're not a faith person, that's fine. Don't call it a faith walk. But the reality is you're only going to get but so much information because you don't have the crystal ball. You don't know how it's all going to turn out. So you gather as much information as you can, and then you make a decision and you assess as you're moving. But you can't let fear or the fear of failure or the fear of taking a risk, you can't let that stop you as you are growing, as you're moving forward, as you're strategizing. Right. I think one of the biggest challenges I see agents make, especially new agents, is what we used to say in corporate, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
It is the continuation of gathering information over and over and over and over again, thinking the gathering of information is going to give you the confidence to start moving.
Right.
It doesn't.
You just gotta start
It's
moving.
false. You have to start moving and gathering information while you're moving.
Correct.
You have to be open to being honest when you don't know something. That's why you have mentors. That's why you have teachers. That's why you have coaches. That's why you have people you can call on to help you through those challenging times. But you have to start moving. You have to start talking to people. You have to start getting in front of people. You have to start looking at how you're going to get your business and then going about and doing it. We can give you strategies all day long. You can come in my office and Tanika laughs at me, I can give you a strategy, a plan. I can lay out a whole system of how to go about doing business. We can talk about all this stuff. I can show you Chat GPT. I can show you how AI can create all these tools and systems and everything, but it will not do it for you. At the end of the day,
you still have to do it.
You still got to get out there and make it happen and implement and analyze and talk and strategize. And you can do it But so many times that fear of risk, taking the step, it pauses people. People say fear, false evidence appearing real. That's old school facts, right? Don't let risk rob you from what you say you got this license for. Don't let fear stop you for what you say you wanted to do in this real estate industry.
Yeah.
And don't let the market dictate to you whether or not you're going to be successful. It is not determined by interest rates.
Not at all. It is only determined by your perseverance and your commitment to your craft. What I'm finding, and after 9 years in real estate, is that it's just consistency. It's consistency. It's the boring stuff nobody wants to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about the end result. Geez, you know, I gave them the key. Nobody wants to talk about the trials and the tribulation to get there. Many people, if you're trying to grow the opportunities, you'll talk to many people who don't have credit right now, don't have funds right now, don't have an awareness of reality right now. Oh, I only want to pay $1,500 for a mortgage kind of situation. So you've got to be a consultant. I've moved into a real consult. I'm a real estate consultant. I'm a real estate icon and expert. That's what I get up and say every day. And that's what I need to equip people with, the knowledge that I have about how to make an impact via real estate. And I talk to them about it every day. So that's how you've got to kind of position yourself. Everybody wants the now. Get out of that. You are a long-term, you want longevity. And because you want longevity, there are going to be different people in different, time frames that they're going to buy or need your expertise. But you've got to be willing to give it wherever they rest on the pipeline.
There's only going to be, here's some data for you. Typically, there's only going to be 1 to 3% of people you meet that are ready now.
That's it.
That is it. It's typically going to be 1 to 3% of people who are ready now.
And that's also called conversion. So 100 people, how many people is that?
1 to 3 that'll be ready now. And the ready now is not always meaning they're actually qualified. The ready now just means that they actually want to do something. They have a
desire.
Right. It doesn't mean that they're actually qualified to do it. And then it doesn't even guarantee, if they're qualified, that they're willing to make the shift or make the move to do something right now when they find out the interest rates, when they find out the amount of money. There's only 1 to 3%. So what you have to count on is, instead of trying to fight the data, instead of trying to prove the data wrong, which you're not going to prove it wrong, you have to weigh against it and you have to work with it. So understanding that I got to get my conversation up. I have to get my meeting people up. I have to start interacting with social networking. So I have to be social. That means post. Posting is not being social. If you think you have social media working and I say, well, what is your social media doing? You're like, well, I'm posting every day. That is not being social. That is just posting. There's the social aspect of social media. It is the bringing of people virtually together to interact, connect, and collaborate. That's social. So you have to be social. You have to do your videos. You have to get out in front of people. You have to do more with more in order to get the outcome, but it's doable.
It is achievable.
It's absolutely achievable because people are achieving it. Right? I always say, if I can see anybody do a thing, you can't tell me I can't do the thing. Because the only thing that will stop me from doing it is me, unless we're talking about some physical trait. Right? We're talking about some physical trait, or we're way into some high level, high intelligent astronaut sort of stuff that I ain't trying to do anyway. Right? But I'm talking about the basics of making an impact and being successful in business.
But here's the reality I was going to say. I didn't mean to interrupt you. A lot of times people don't want to work with a lease client or somebody that cannot afford right now, those should be the people you run to. Because
especially with how much they're paying for leases right now.
What? I mean, it's incredible. I know on a daily basis at the office, we get probably 3 to 4 rentals, and they're not just talking about a $900.
Right.
I'm talking about $22,000 to $3,500. I'm like, what? Well, hello, you should be seizing the opportunity to make one more connection, impact one more family's lives. So guess what? They now become part of your client care, in which you stay in contact with, keeping them abreast of the market and what's going on. And, chart when that year is right before that year is over, checking back in to see, are they ready to purchase? You got to leverage every aspect of the market right now. And if you're not, shame on you. There are still people coming to open houses as well. By the way, before we moved over here, we would go to open houses. We go to model homes all the time. We maybe weren't ready to buy immediately, but when we were ready, who would you want them to call? So you need to be out here real estate is my whole point. Don't just sit back and like, oh, woe is me, I'm not getting any buyers or sellers. There's other ways to do real estate. Start doing it.
If you just think about it, I mean, so I get it. We're going to sit on lease for a minute.
Okay.
And then we're going to shift into our buyer conversation. But I get it. The mentality of working with lease clients, right? First of all, it's a mindset.
It is.
Let's just be clear. It is a mindset. It is a script that you have said to yourself that you are manifesting out, because challenges exist with sellers, challenges exist with buyers, challenges exist with lease clients. There's challenges, you a challenge, right? There's challenges all around in every capacity.
Yeah.
But run these numbers for a minute. So let's just say you're an agent.
Okay, get out your calculator.
Let's say you're an agent, and right now you don't have the capacity. You don't have the capacity to not say no. And what I mean by that is you ain't working with nobody else. Right? You can't be like, can't be like, I'm too busy because I got all these buyers and sellers. I don't have time for lease client. I think you should have to work your way out of working with lease clients. Correct. Right? You should become so busy that you don't have time to work with them. If this is not your scenario, they should be an opportunity. So here's the numbers. Let's just say I'm gonna take a low end. Okay. Let's just say somewhere in Texas, they could actually get a lease for $1,200. I don't know where, but let's just say they can. Let's say they can get a $1,200 lease. A $1,200 lease, if I work with one lease client, a year, that's $14,400.
Say what?
A month. One lease client a month, $14,400. If I work with 2 a month, that's $28,800. So take somebody who's made $0. You've made no sales, and you're gonna hold out to hopefully maybe find a buyer, and you ain't gonna work with nobody with lease. I'm not gonna market to lease people. I'm not running ads to lease people. If a lease call me, I'm kicking them out. I'm not doing none of that. You just giving away $14,400 multiplied 28,800. But let's get realistic. What lease you finding for $1,200? So let's say $2,000 times 12 is 24,000 times 2 is 48,000. It does not take a bunch. So I'm not even saying you got to work with a whole lot of lease clients. If you picked up 2 a month, you can make 4,000 a month.
And a lot of people are like, I don't want to work with anybody that does apartments. Are you serious? Apartments pay a minimum usually at 100%. That means $2,000, that's $2,000, and some pay at 150%.
Facts. So this is not run, feed you leases. This is if you don't have any other business going and you're trying to ramp up your business in all the other areas, don't overlook this area, because leases is not what it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. No. Before you like, well, they only paying $500, $300, like that ain't nothing. That's not what's happening with the majority of leases and apartments today.
And if you were just kind of being honest with you, a lot of times you need to find a niche that really works. One niche that needs help is Section 8.
Can you even find Section 8 houses now though? Are they coming back? I would imagine they're going to be coming back.
I'm going to tell you what I'm telling investors or people who are circling back around trying to figure out how to invest their dollars in real estate. Let me tell you what I'm telling them. Okay. They should invest in multi-unit properties, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes on up.
Mhm.
They should sign up to be a Section 8 landlord. You should show them, I'm telling you this, trying to help y'all. You should look up Dallas Housing Authority is an amazing example. Look up Dallas Housing zip code by zip codes. It will, in case you don't know, let me just kind of educate you guys. Let me step back.
Mhm.
Section 8 vouchers work like this. They're with different cities, but because they don't have to stay within the same city, it is
Okay.
by zip codes. So that housing authority, Fort Worth, Dallas, Grand Prairie, they have a sheet that says by zip code, how much they will pay in rent. Okay. So it goes by zip code. This is a true life example. I have many, but this is one that's recent. So I'm talking to my client who wants to call me back, a repeat client who I'm in contact with my client care. Just FYI, circles back around. I'm ready to invest in an investment property. What should I do? I'm thinking about a single family resident. I said, no, sir, we're going to do multi-unit. Let me tell you why. And this is what I'm told them. We found a duplex in Fort Worth. I looked up the normal rentals in that area. They were both sides were 2 bedrooms. Okay. 2 bedrooms in that particular zip code, 76133, were averaging about $1,500 for a 2 bedroom. Okay. I said, I'm going to look up, I'm going to show you something. So I pulled up the Dallas Housing Authority zip code profile that shows me all the zip codes and what they will pay per zip code. In that very same zip code, it was $1,683 per side, because each side was a 2 bedroom. He just came up $183 on each side, and his mortgage was $2,700. Who looks like a superstar to him? Because I am educating myself, finding a need, and sharing that with anybody that'll listen. Because every week I get, I need help. I have Section 8 voucher. Do you know anybody? And no agent wants to work with Section 8, voucher, because it's hard to place them. But I'm telling you, if you became an expert in that genre, you could be a go-to. And guess what? They have a premium most of the time on the amounts that they'll pay for for rentals. So this market, I'm really trying to, expand my territory, go deeper in some of the things that I find interesting. And I find investment properties and helping people win in that capacity, to me, very interesting, and something that if I wasn't growing a brokerage with you guys, we would be doing, so I'm sharing that with you guys as maybe an opportunity to, as you're talking to investors, and I don't mean those people that are flipping properties. I'm talking about people that are trying to buy and hold and figure out how to win in this market. And by the way, multi-units are staying on the market a lot longer and are very much so available.
Here we go.
So
market shift.
I'm just like, what? This
market
is fantastic.
Yep.
And so I encourage you guys, as you are speaking, and I even talk to families about this as well. Families that are multi-generational, who may have, kids or parents or whatever. A multi-unit is phenomenal for them to be able to live close enough, but not necessarily in the same house. But a duplex is fantastic. So you got to figure out how to really shift and how to really educate people about the opportunities that real estate can provide for them to grow their wealth. So the first thing is educating yourself.
And people are sitting on equity.
What?
People are sitting on equity.
Yes.
They're sitting on equity. Equity is financial opportunity. It's what it is. To go out, and now that the market shifts and now we become a little more investor friendly, now we become a few more opportunities sitting on the market longer. Creates opportunities on the other end for deals. All this is just a shift. So you're shifting your mindset. Instead of worrying and complaining and trying to combat it, you're shifting your mindset to see how you win in this market. So now we're like, let's get back to working with some different type of lease clients if you have nothing going. If you're at capacity, then refer that thing out. That's different. But you have opportunities sitting there. What conversation do you have for the past clients who may be sitting on equity? It may be time to have a conversation about investing in other properties.
Absolutely. I got a call from a young lady she's an attorney. Her financial consultant, Michael, that's what he said. He said she needs to diversify and go buy some real estate. That's what he told her. So she gets another bonus at the end of the year or whatever. And she's like, what do I do? I'm like, girl, I got you. We go invest into some multi-unit properties. And this is what you do.
Opportunities are sitting there and you have to work through them. But it all begins again with not disappearing. It all begins with making sure that in this market, you're still out here, you're educating people.
Yes.
Right. So maybe somebody wants to start a Section 8 blog. Maybe somebody wants to start talking about how to work with Section 8 clients, how to work with investors that are looking for Section 8 properties. Maybe you start that video. Maybe you start that blog. Maybe you start having these conversations, because I'm telling you, this is the market shift we're back in. Not a new market. This is not a new market. This is a different market, but this market we have seen before. I was telling Tanika, I've had an 8 or 9% interest rate. I think you talked to a client this weekend. There's like, he had a 10% interest rate. This is not a new market. It's
a new price
new to you. And it is a new price point. And that's good education.
It is.
Because if you start doing interest rate history and you compare the interest rate trend line with property values in Texas, you see the interest rate is doing this and property values are doing this. You could have been a Delta right there.
I am a Delta.
I know. Can I do it?
Stay focused. No.
Okay, I ain't a Delta. Thank God. That would have been a problem.
That's a sorority, in case y'all don't know.
I know, right? Okay. That's why that would have been a problem. So the challenge is you have to open your mind and stop being led by media, by news, by feelings, and just start thinking, were there real estate agents back when there was 8-9%? Yes, there were.
Yes, there were.
Right. Were houses being bought and sold? Yes, they were. Right. Are they being done now? Yes. And you're like, well, how can anybody qualify? People can still qualify for houses.
Now, here's the deal. They may qualify for less than they anticipated. And so you better have that conversation with them about their monthly mortgage targets.
Yes.
Because I'm finding people are qualified for more sometimes, but then you get out and say, well, $450,000 is like $3,800, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, whoa, what? So having that initial conversation with them before you're out in this Texas heat, I promise you need to be having it.
Yes, you need to have that conversation so they understand, what does that monthly really look like? Can you do it? And then we get back to some of the old school stuff that you used to teach, which was, all right, maybe you have somebody that's coming into getting a mortgage, or they're about to jump up in payment a little bit.
Yeah.
And you need to start paying that, putting that money to the side every month.
Yes.
So if you're paying $2,200 in rent now, and you're about to jump up to maybe $2,800 mortgage, $2,900 mortgage, start to put $600-700 to the side, see how that feels. See how that doggone feels for the next 2, 3, 4 months. And then you make a decision. So educating your clients. And you can only do this if you're not trying to get these quick hits.
Yeah. I was going to say, education continues too once they're under contract. If you are not taking a look at, before you close, at that preliminary closing disclosure and looking at how they do their escrows, you're not doing your job effectively. And let me explain that, particularly with a new build environment. So particularly with this, they often are not going to take the correct amount in escrow for the improved property amount.
Right.
They are going to take it only for the unimproved, which looks fantastic when it comes to closing. I only have $200 a month for 3 months for my escrow for property taxes, and that's not realistic and it's not real. So I have to have that. What made me think about it is I have to have this conversation every time I close with a new build and say to them, listen, they're not taking enough out for your taxes.
Right.
You're at a $400, $600, $700 a month deficit. You need to be putting that away because you're going to have a shortage. And here's why. And I have to go through and explain it to them. You need to know that. Those people that are sitting in closings on their phone, fiddling around, not paying attention to the closing disclosure, shame on you, because you should be educating yourself and knowing. And I can now look at it because I look at so many disclosures. I can say, wow, an FHA at $250 is going to be, $2,400, $2,600 to $2,400 payment, depending on the taxes. I know this information because I'm paying attention.
So pay attention and stop trying to get to the doggone picture.
Yeah,
and get that closing funded check. Right. All right. So 5 ways to encourage buyers in the current market. Since we're talking about business, since we're talking about trying to get business, since we're talking about trying to stay in business.
Yeah.
5 ways to encourage buyers in the current market. Let me see what you think about it. Number 1, understand what buyers are looking for and deliver. You're like, well, that should be always, right? Let's understand what we just came out of.
Yes.
We just came out of this frenzy where everything was, you had to move fast. You didn't have a whole lot of time. Sometimes it wasn't even deep conversations. Yeah. It was like, I saw a house, let's go get it. Let's get moving. Now, slow down. Mm-hmm. And you need to understand what your buyers are looking for and deliver.
Not only what they're looking for, what they can comfortably afford, I would say, because they may want that $450,000 house, but really their real budget is $300,000. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have a redirect to say, what are you willing to give up, or what area or location? What are our strategies here to make sure you're still comfortable with your mortgage? Here are some options for you based upon our conversation.
Mm-hmm. So in understanding what they're looking for and what they can afford, a lot of it is obviously asking questions.
Yes.
But it's a lot of not just asking the first level question,
deeper,
but going deeper in 2-3 levels deep and understanding when they say, I want a big backyard. First of all, what does big backyard mean?
Yeah. What does that mean to you?
Because everybody is defining that different. And why do you need a big backyard? Dogs, kids, your family's going to grow. What is the reasoning behind the need? You have to get down to this need and help uncover, is it a real need or does it become just a want?
Yeah.
Right? It's just a want. Because if I found you a property that is everything else you said you wanted, but it's a medium-sized backyard, is that okay? And then, oh yeah, I could work with that. Okay, now that's a different than everything you're looking at has to be an acre. Everything you're looking at has to be a big backyard.
Exactly.
If you don't ask these qualifying questions and get down to deeper understanding, you could possibly be shutting out a property that would be perfect. Absolutely perfect for all the other wants and needs. So you got to slow down. We used to have, that Tanika never used, we used to have a buyer form, onboarding buyer form that asks all these questions.
I already asked them all the questions.
I know you're so deep. I know. Well, you ask all these questions, right? For those of you that are, and she is naturally doing it, that's great. But for those of you that may not have come up in that background, and this may be new to you, or you may not be comfortable with knowing where to go with what questions, you need that buyer intake form. You need a form that helps direct you as you're writing down. It slows your brain down. As you're taking this information down, it slows you down and gives you a chance to think about, what else do I need to know? How far, or what other questions do I need to ask? What other information do I need? And stop assuming that everybody's not going to want to answer your questions, because a lot of times we'll say, well, I want to hear, if I ask them too many questions, I'm going to lose them. That's not true. It's not true. You have to know how to ask questions, which is script practice. You have to know how to ask questions, when to ask questions, right?
And when to just listen.
And you do have to read people's language, but you can't decide that no one wants to take time to answer, so you don't ask.
Never make that assumption. You are the real estate expert. And in order to help navigate you and your family through this process, I just have a couple of questions that are going to help me streamline and get strategically focused on what you want.
Yep. Number 2, flex your negotiation skills. Oh, it is beautiful now.
Mhm.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
People willing, not everybody, a lot more people are willing to negotiate.
Mhm.
Builders are willing to negotiate.
Oh yeah.
Sellers who really need to sell are willing to negotiate. We're back to
We're
negotiating.
back to negotiating now.
And you have to flex your negotiation skills.
Mhm.
You have to think about what all is available
Mhm.
to your people.
Mhm.
Is it more seller concessions?
Yeah.
Is it getting other work done?
Yeah.
Like, what are some other things when you think about negotiating that they can negotiate?
So, I mean, just the aspects of the contract for sure.
Mhm.
Who pays for what? Title, survey, home warranty. When you actually close, do people need the lease back? Do they not?
Are we back to lease backs?
You know what? A lot of people are willing to move on up out the house. Honestly, not a lot of times. It used to be I need a lease back for another 3-4 weeks so I could find a house. Now it's like sure. We close this day. I'm out. So it varies depending on what the need is of the family, but things are flexible. Even what people will leave in the house, the furniture that will convey, the refrigerator, the actual furniture, the media room. I have a family that they're willing to leave the doggone whole house if you just buy their house. So it really depends on what the needs are of the family.
And so all of these things have a cost associated with it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get the whole house, assuming I like the way it's decorated, right? If I can get the whole house furniture with a reasonable price,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then I don't have this added expense.
True. But on the other hand, that same family, because they want to leave these things, they have an unrealistic perceived value of them as well. So it goes both ways.
So in that instance, if you on the buyer side, are you negotiating this price point, taking out the furniture? Like, let's say they have a $500,000 house, but in there is included the furniture, but my buyers don't want the furniture. Mm-hmm. How am I handling this negotiation?
It depends. You need to look at the comparables. Number one, I stick to the basics. You still have to look at the comparables. If the comparables dictate that this is a house that is of value and they are leaving it, well, then if that's the case, well, then maybe I can get a little bit more with concessions. It just depends. How long has the house been on market? Are there any other offers on the table? There's so many intangibles. I can't answer that as a blanket statement without knowing the actual circumstances of the home. But I will say you as an agent should be looking at the totality and the big picture versus just one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. So, but you did answer it. Okay. So if we're basic blocking and tackling basics, right? Mm-hmm. It's, first of all, is this house worth $500,000? Right. We pull in the CMA, we're going to take a look. Mm-hmm. And if we see that we actually have a value, maybe it's worth more, and this house has furniture in it, that's one type of conversation, right? Mm-hmm. If we look at this and the house is not worth $500,000, it's worth $480,000, and they got the furniture thrown in, then we could probably assume they probably they're accounting for this furniture.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But we're not negotiating off the furniture. No, we're negotiating off the house. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So that you get back to the basics of it and you don't get swayed with either one way or the other. You let your client decide if that's a value.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So here's what the market says. Here's what that house is worth. Mm-hmm. Here's what they're asking. It comes with the furniture. Is that a value to you?
Mm-hmm. And everybody's value perception is different.
Facts. And if it's not a value to them, but they like the house, it's time to negotiate.
Yeah. You
got to get those negotiating skills on. But in negotiating, you don't negotiate blindly.
No. Utilize the facts.
You use the facts. And the majority of the facts you're going to need is going to be the data. Mm-hmm. It's going to be understanding how bad your client wants this. You always ask your client on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yes.
Is this a what? Right.
And 8 or above, to me, dictates that this is a house that's worthy of putting in an offer or considering an offer. We're not gonna find Jesus. 10 is perfection. Right. But 8 is really a good gauge because that's pretty close as my check mark almost everything that I wanted on here, and I'm willing to sacrifice the things that I don't have on my checklist that weren't met. Right. That's worthy of an offer.
Facts. So you have to look at it all, get the data, get the information, and then arm your people and help them navigate through making a decision that works for them.
and their
Right.
family and their budget.
So you got to flex those negotiating skills. If you don't feel confident about being a negotiator, don't let negotiation, the word,
Mhm.
discourage you.
Please don't.
It is gathering the data.
Mhm.
What is this house worth based upon sold comps, based upon what's pending potentially? What are they asking for it? How much does my client like it?
Mhm.
And then we start looking at the information
Mhm.
and we move to figure out a viable price point. How about that?
I often use this as my seller and my buyers.
Mhm.
And we have to come somewhere right here where we can meet in the middle
Yes.
for us to be able to partner and move together forward.
And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes unrealistic sellers. You can't control any of that stuff,
No.
but you still can help your people
Mhm.
get to a decision that works for them.
Mhm.
And if this house doesn't work out, we're going to be on to the next one. And they're more likely to go with you to the next one and not look at you like it was your fault because you didn't educate them or help them or direct them. And they felt like you wasn't working for them.
Correct.
All right. Number 3, highlight investment potential.
Mhm.
So we talked about investment potential from someone looking to get an investment property. In this number 3, it's investment potential of the actual house.
Right.
This house as an investment. Because what we saw previously was people wasn't really looking at houses from an investment standpoint. They were looking at this low money, so this 2-3% interest rate, and how much house they can get. The bigger, the better,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Oh my God, I get all this house for this price,
Yeah.
right? And now, as you mentioned earlier, we're looking at these price points, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to. Maybe I can't afford $450,000, but I don't want to pay $3,000 a month. Now we're getting properties that are good for you right now.
There you go.
They're good for you right now. And then we'll look when the market shifts
Mhm.
where you want to be to your next house.
Mhm.
The last few years, people getting their dream houses.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, some people's getting houses they ain't never dreamed of because they never thought they can get anything that big.
Yeah,
They can get
that's
anything
true.
like they didn't even dream of it. So now we're back to getting housing for housing need.
Mhm.
So what fits your need in the next 1, 2, 3 years? And now we're investing in this because we just said interest rates do this, fluctuate up and down. Property values in Texas rise. So it is why you cannot promise, nor can you predict the future, but based upon what you have seen over the last 20, 30, 40 years,
Mhm.
it is more likely than not that this value in this house is going to rise.
Mhm.
And so what that means is your equity
Well,
is going to rise.
yeah.
So you are now putting this money into a piece of property
Yeah.
that more likely than not is going to grow in value.
Mhm.
And then you have choices.
Mhm.
You could rent it out
Yep.
and get rental income, or you can sell it, or you can take equity out of it. Now, it's going to be something different then because one of these got to be your investment properties, right? Both of them can't be homestead, but you have options when you own.
Yes, you do. And then it's considerable options. You want to continue to spend $2,000 to $2,500 a month on rent, and you will have zero to show for it in the next 2 years.
Mhm.
A lot of times, and Michael can probably speak to this, real estate in Texas particularly has outperformed some aspects of the stock market. It's just steady. And if you want, and I always talk about the portfolio mix when I'm talking to my clients about, utilizing real estate as part of your generational wealth accumulation,
Mhm.
compounding year over year. I get a chance to talk to them about this is just one leg of your table and how you must start taking, the sooner the better. I love when I have young buyers, who are in their 20s or whatever, and really understand this is probably what I need to do as a way to invest in my future. I just love that. And explain to them how proud their parents must be of making a decision this early on. It's never too late. It never is to start investing in your future in this capacity. So I love it. I love talking to them about it.
Absolutely. The next one is a little rare, but it's taking advantage of off-market opportunities,
Mhm.
right? Now you won't see a whole lot, and the people who are best at this are people who are really good at networking.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
people who are out here that are connecting with other real estate agents, that are out in this market, that are meeting people, they are the ones who typically find off-market
Yeah.
opportunities, right?
Mhm.
Or get phone calls from people about things that are coming up,
Yeah.
investment properties.
Also called hip pocket listings.
The hip pockets, right?
Mhm.
You can take advantage of those. They're not as frequent,
Yeah.
right? But understand that that's usually what starts happening in higher interest rates markets.
Mhm.
These are the things that start coming apart as agents start trying to be a little proactive
Mhm.
with things that are coming out, because what they don't want to have happen is 60, 90, 120 days
No.
if they can avoid it.
Correct.
So if they know that you usually work well with others,
Mhm.
know what you're doing, have quality people that you're interacting with,
Mhm.
you will start then possibly getting some of these phone calls and some of these emails like, hey, I got something coming up.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I got something that might be of interest to your buyers. Do
Yeah.
you know anybody?
Mhm.
Right. And you start having these conversations, not as frequent, but opportunities again do exist.
Correct.
Right.
Mhm.
And then the final thing I would say is you have to practice patience. You have to practice patience. You can't rush people
No.
into making a decision. You can't get frustrated because they have 101 questions and then they ask you question number 102,
Mhm.
right? You have to educate them, you have to direct them, but you have to practice patience in this market, because there's a reason why it's saying 60 days, 90 days on market. This is not rushed decisions that are typically happen with the majority of people anymore.
Mhm.
And they have to make some different decisions because they have to be willing to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
And they have to decide what they're most comfortable with sacrificing.
Correct.
And just think about yourself. Most of us don't want to sacrifice anything. So stop being impatient with your clients
Mhm.
when now they're making these housing decisions.
Yeah, they're big decisions.
That's causing them to have to be willing to sacrifice size, sacrifice year, sacrifice something
Mhm.
in order to get what they want, or in order to get something that really wasn't what they thought it was going to
Mhm.
be
When they first started this journey.
when they first started the journey,
Mhm.
right?
Very true.
You have to be patient. If you do those 5 things, that gives you a leg up on working with your buyers.
Yeah.
In this market. Maybe next week we'll do working with sellers. I mean, I know you got the sellers thing coming up, so that can kind of lead up to that.
Mhm.
But if you do these 5 things, it will help you
Mhm.
be a better agent for them. It would help them be a better client for you.
Yeah.
And then you both will win,
Mhm.
no matter what the market is, but specifically in this market.
It's facts. So hopefully this has been helpful to you all as you continue to try to navigate this market, but it is doable, it is achievable,
Yep.
and just stay focused and don't give up.
Don't give up.
Mhm.
There's no point in giving up.
Mhm.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us. Monday Morning Mindset. This brings this one to an end.
Any questions in there? We got this
I
comments?
think no, Libby was answering them as they went along.
Okay, very good, very good,
And
very good.
She was knocking them out.
Okay.
All right. So if you guys need us, reach out to us.
Have a blessed and amazing week, y'all.